aqua friends, welcome to my channel. Today I have another fast and fun episode for you. This is an easy 15-minute painting time project, and this is a real-time video. I have not sped it up. We are going to paint a watercolor galaxy. I have all the colors I used listed in the description below. What I first did here was wet my paper under the sink so that I got it really good and wet for like 30 seconds to 1 minute, and then place it down on a plastic surface. I don't use tape. It stays down very well when it's really saturated like this. And then I'm using my lightest colors, my most vibrant colors first. I have Azo yellow, Iso yellow, and I'm using Holbein watercolors. The pink is Opera pink. This technique I'm using is wet on wet watercolor. If your paper starts to dry a little bit, you can spritz it. I felt like I needed a little bit more water in that corner, but then I soaked up some of the pink and yellow in the middle with just a painting cloth I have. So for this watercolor galaxy painting, I am now bringing in the darker colors, and I really love this permanent violet. It's by Holbein, and it's just a really nice fresh purple. You guys could use whatever colors you would like to paint with this. I just chose the pinks, purples, and blues. Notice how much that blue spreads compared to the Holbein watercolors. The French ultramarine I'm using here is from Daniel Smith, and Daniel Smith watercolors have oxgall added to it, which makes the watercolor spread a lot more, which is a cool thing to see, but keep in mind that you're going to have a lot less control with these watercolors because they spread so far away from you. The Holbein watercolors do not have additives, and when you lay the paint down, you have a lot of control because it will be a very nice soft edge, but it won't spread and get away from you too much. If you guys are getting value out of this video and you like my artwork, please think about subscribing and hitting the notification button so that you don't miss any of the videos. So on the outskirts of my painting, I am adding the darker colors. As I was saying, I am using the French ultramarine, but I am also using Perusian blue, and the purple is permanent violet. I want to talk about the ugly stage of watercolor, because I know right now this looks like a hot mess and a 4-year-old did it, but there is method to my madness, and a lot of times watercolors will appear undone or just, you know, it's not going right, but you have to keep at it. Each layer it gets better, I promise. This watercolor galaxy painting is easy and it is a beginner's level. Because we soaked the paper under the faucet for a good 30 seconds to a minute, like I was saying, you will have a lot of time to drop in colors and it will stay nice and wet, and these transitions will be real pretty and soft. When you wet your paper in this fashion, you have a very long time to paint wet on wet because it really soaks through the middle of the paper. I'm using Hunnable Collection series, trying out this watercolor paper, which is a professional watercolor paper. It's just as expensive as Arch's watercolor paper, but one thing I found very interesting is that wetting the paper to start a project in this fashion where you lay it down on a plastic surface, when it dries very flat. Whereas the arches will warp a lot, and then I have to iron the paper afterwards. Yes, you can iron watercolor paper because it is a cotton paper. Now, as far as the brush I'm using, it is Watercolor Princeton. It's a 1/2 inch oval brush. It's from the Aqua Elite series. A round brush would work just as well, but I liked the fact that this holds a lot of paint in the bristles and has a very fine point for tinier little dabs that I could do. Now that I have all my colors established, I am increasing the saturation of the pinks and the purples within the galaxy and building those up to be a little bit more vibrant. So I'm upping the saturation with this Opera Pink. I really love this color. I love the vibrancy that it's giving me. So I'm just dropping in the color, just picking up this paint, and I am using a milk consistency. As you can see, the Opera paint that I have on the left-hand side is very vibrant and it is a very milky consistency. I don't add a lot of water to it so that I can get that really vibrant color. Because taking into consideration that our paper is already wet, whatever colors you lay down are going to be very soft. So notice I am taking my time with this part, adding in the pink. The more layers that you add, the more colors, the more depth there'll be in your painting. So I'm trying to get the pinks area, that cluster, as dark as I can get it with the pink, so that that area kind of really stands out, kind of gives you this kind of dimension of all these different dust clouds. You go from really vibrant, and then there's areas where it's lighter. I will also be picking up some paint and lightening up some areas, so you have a good amount of range of values in the painting. Picking up more of the French ultramarine, I am playing around with the values now. I'm getting towards the end of this galaxy painting and I'm adjusting the values. So there's areas I want to make darker and kind of have those contrasting with the lighter areas in the middle of the galaxy. So basically, you could look at galaxy paintings for inspiration, but I just went ahead and basically did this out of my head. Pick out some colors that you want to do. It doesn't have to be pinks and purples and blues like I did it. You could pick whatever color you want for your galaxy. Just take into consideration that you do need darker colors around the nebula mass, as you will, so that it kind of looks more like space. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking a cloth and I'm picking up paint. This watercolor technique is called lifting. I decided I had this small sponge and I decided to use that to lift up some paint, because now in the middle of this galaxy dust area, I'm trying to pull up some lighter areas. Okay, so I'm pulling it up, I'm rubbing it off on a piece of paper towel. And, you know, I just keep thinking about it, and wherever you feel like you want certain areas to stand out, there is a very vibrant pink here. So I thought it would be cool to, this is sort of called negative painting, you know, and you're either painting over a light area or taking away paint. So that one little area is really standing out now, as you can see. So just let the watercolor talk to you and, you know, have fun with it. Use your imagination and just go for it. Lightening up in the pink area is also breaking up all this pink mass that I have as well. You could get really creative with this process and just let the watercolors guide you through your galaxy. So I'm taking my time with the lifting because I want a good mixture of values. Values is what makes a watercolor look really good. I'm not talking about the vibrancy of a color. Values is how light and dark colors are. So I have some great mid-tones. I have some great dark tones. But I'm making sure that I'm putting in those lightest areas by lifting, taking away color. So it's not just one big blob, not just one big mass. Now I'm using watercolor opaque white with a fan brush. This will work just as well with a toothbrush or any other brush and splatter your paper. I am splattering more watercolor onto the galaxy so that I have very defined stars. So we are now working a wet on dry watercolor technique. There was that one blob I didn't care for, so I just lifted it with my rag and I'm just bringing back in some of that purple. I think it turned out real pretty. It's really vibrant, and I hope you had a lot of fun with this project. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought.